Hello and welcome to our very first episode.
Hey guys,
Hello.
My name is Zena.
my name's Precious.
And I'm Jim.
Yeah. And today we have Jim.
Yeah.
So Jim is actually our first time ever meeting today.
Are you lying? I've seen you in the cafe a
Yeah,
couple
we
of times.
have seen each other, but I
We
don't
walked
think we've
past
ever
each
had a
other.
conversation.
Very true, very
Yeah.
A very brief conversation.
Correct.
So just talk me a bit about you. You know?
Sure. So how far back do you want me to go? It's kind of like...
As far
A
as
summary of
far,
Jim.
the summary.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I'm Jim. I'm half French, half English. So there's going to be like a little bit of an accent at times.
Oh, okay. Were you born there?
I was born in France, spent most of my life over there, studied there. And then obviously made my way to England, which was the other home. But yeah, so if I take you through it. So I was in France till I was about 21. But in terms of like studies, for example, what I've done is undergrad in France. I've done a undergrad in economics and finance. There was a little bit of law in there, but it's kind of like, let's say, a degree that had a reasonable amount of math, but also a reasonable amount of business. So then I kind of like studied over there and then did 1 year of studies in the US. A lot of people tend to kind of like try and do their last year of studies, maybe in a European country or maybe in outside of kind of like Europe. So I managed to get myself over to the US. And then, decided then that I didn't want to do a master's degree. Education was not really always something I wanted to push for so long. I wanted to get the basics of what would then allow me to go into some of the workspace. And so kind of left and then got some internships, got some work, and slowly find my way into the financial crime world, or anti-financial crime world, I should say.
Yeah.
And then I've been in there for the last 10 years or so.
Wow.
How is going to uni in France?
French?
Yeah.
Very-
Like is it similar to the way it is in the UK? Like
So
3 years.
So it's full 3 years.
Yeah.
So I've not been to uni here, but like from what I understand, I have a feeling that some degrees here there might not be as many hours of study as there might be in France.
Oh, there's
Oh,
how many
okay.
hours did you have to?
It's kind of like a full-time job in France. I feel.
Oh, really?
Wait, so like a 9 to 5 then?
Near
You'd
enough,
spend-
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Are the exams like really like?
Yeah, a lot of
every year?
exams throughout the year, exams at the end. So I feel like there's a lot of similarity. The one thing I would say you guys do a lot better here is just so much more amenities, exports, etc.
Yeah.
Whereas in
Okay.
France, is you go to uni. Uni is quite cheap in France, so they've not really invested in all of those other things outside. But so you go uni, you get your degree, and then you get out.
Is it
but
easy
yeah.
to find a job after uni in France, or is it
In
like
France, so this is one of the reasons I came to England as well. So
Yeah.
when you go to France, so university in France is near enough free.
Okay.
So that means everyone goes to university, does an undergrad, and very, very privileged from that perspective.
Yeah.
So that means like everyone goes to get an undergraduate and creates competition, and then everyone is then kind of expected to go and do a master's degree.
Oh, okay.
And then
Oh,
if
so the masters is like the degree here, basically.
Yeah,
It sounds like your unis are like colleges, because
yeah, it's
You
you
kind
know
of
what I
like
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone goes college.
Yeah.
so we being pushed for that, the master's course, and if it is that you choose to go and do, let's say, geography as an undergrad, you then have to do geography at a master's. And you then need to find something in geography. So you have to
Yeah.
kind of like dictate your path from a very early stage.
Oh.
And what I feel is brilliant about the UK is that you could go and do anything as an undergrad and they more value, let's say, your work ethic more than actually kind of like what you have studied. So it gives
Transferable skills.
exactly, it gives you a lot more
Yeah.
opportunities to go there and do something that you actually really like.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
So do you have to study geography, like if you did it as an undergrad, or is it that's just what you were saying?
Yeah, so it's more kind of like it's more saying like once you choose your path from an early age
Yeah.
when you're 18, this is kind of like what you're going to roll with for a little while.
Okay.
As
yeah, that
opposed
makes
to,
sense.
explore maybe with one area that you thought you might like and then move to something which is completely different.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
think that's
Okay.
very realistic for like.
Oh, for sure. For sure. This is why like I recommend a lot of people to try and maybe, go and study if they can in the different countries, or just realize that it's okay that if it is that you go into, if you study, like in, say, in France
Yeah.
or anywhere else, that it's going to be okay. That it doesn't mean that if you've done 2 years or 3 years of a specific topic, that means it's going to dictate the rest of your life. So it's just kind of
Yeah.
understanding that
Less
you need
pressure.
to build. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Build yourself the work ethic, build yourself making kind of like relationship. And that's got to be kind of like the, let's say, more valuable thing as opposed to thing that you're going to be typecasted for your entire career.
You said
Yep.
you went to America for a year.
Yeah.
Is that like a common choice, or is
So
it quite different in France? Because we do sandwich years as well in uni.
Yeah.
I would say most people go to like European countries. 'Cause
Yeah,
it
they
is
do.
Yeah,
cheaper.
Erasmus kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
program.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Erasmus is probably a little bit more common.
Yeah.
US, I had to kind of like put a very big application for it
Yeah.
through, but that was
Yeah.
always one of the dreams to go there. So
Okay.
so ended up going going there for a year in Vermont.
Ooh.
Very cold, but very nice.
Oh, nice.
Do you think that changed anything in your career and where you are today?
Good question. Yeah, I think it's kind of like it's one of those things where, I was very comfortable at my university in France. I had my friends,
Yeah.
etc. But when you move to somewhere which is completely new, then that forces you to get a little bit outside of the comfort box,
It's
your
true,
comfort zone, I
yeah.
should say. It makes you kind of like have to approach people than you would normally have. So so I would say it has changed. It definitely made me like a more confident person
Okay.
overall. So more confident to then go and maybe take some slightly bolder choices down the line.
Yeah.
Your degree, do you think that you needed it
No.
to get into the career that you were in right now?
No,
Yeah?
not at all.
No.
Yes. Would you think that someone that is like 19,
Mhm.
that goes into, they say they want to do. Can you speak a bit more about what you do actually?
Yeah.
I think
Tell us a
that's
bit
more about your role,
100%
yeah.
what we need to get into
Yeah.
before I start asking questions.
No.
So what is it that you do right now?
So it's let's say within a specific area of finance, but I work in financial crime. So financial crime compliance. So this is all around kind of like, well, actually, if I'll return the question on you. So what do you think financial crime is?
So I'm gonna say like scams, like white collar crimes, like money laundering, maybe.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Tax evasion, like
Yeah.
the IRA. I think that's American though.
IRS?
IRS, yeah. Maybe like fraud.
Yeah, things like that.
Dominoes, PLT, someone stealing money,
Yeah,
calling up.
refunds.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah.
On. So the one I normally get when I ask this kind of like question is like, when people are like, what crime? What do you mean? It's like, is this like kind of like scam? Like when I see like a transaction on my account that I didn't make. But there's just so many different types of financial crime,
Okay.
right? So fraud, I guess, is one of them where people kind of like abuse the system, might penetrate your account, and then kind of like steal some money, and then what they'll do, they'll try and launder the money after.
Yeah.
Well, we've got fraud, we've got money laundering, which is all around kind of like, money laundering could be taking like proceeds of illegal activities and then trying to launder it so it looks like it's legitimate.
Oh, okay.
You've got terrorist financing.
Ooh, what's that?
So terrorist financing is all around. It could be kind of things like state sponsors, or it could be donation from everyday kind of like people to then go and fund like terrorist attack or fund terrorist organization.
Wow.
But
So
all
like
of
a
that goes.
GoFund, like if someone was to set up like a GoFundMe and use
Absolutely,
it. for-
yeah.
Oh,
That could
so
that could
GoFund
absolutely be.
Wow.
So that can absolutely be one, and it's all
Wow.
around. All of those different platforms, whether it's kind of like, it could be social media, it could be banks, it could be kind of like those type of platform that you mentioned.
Yeah.
The money goes in there, the money then flows, and then it's all around how can we start like distancing the origin of that money to basically to hide the illegal kind of, let's say, origin, and how can we kind of like push it to its end goal without really understanding where it's coming from. So kind of like what terrorist financing is. One which is more and more prominent, Sally, is around human trafficking. So that includes things such as sex trafficking. It could be servant. It could be forced labor. It could be child trafficking. So a number of different variation of that. Arms trafficking. So all of those different kind of like crimes.
Arms
Trafficking. Yeah, weapons.
Yeah.
There's organ trafficking as well.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like-
Oh, no, I heard about that.
But,
Yeah.
Wow.
But so all of those different kind of like crimes take place, but they don't take place in terms of like exchanging cash, right?
Yeah.
The nature of crime is so international that you need to be able to move money one way or another. So my role is all around, equipping all of those different banks, crypto companies, fintechs in terms of implementing system processes and all of that to make sure that they can't get abused for that perspective.
Okay.
So yeah, all around kind of like safeguarding those organizations.
So if I had a business, that was mainly online, what would I need? Like, what kind of a client would I need to be to need protection from these types of like?
Yeah. So, I mean, an easy way to find it is like if you facilitate movement of money
Yeah.
or offer financial services,
Okay.
this is where you start falling into that realm. And this is driven by, let's say, ethics, doing the right thing, but it's also very much driven by regulation. If you think of like on the back of like 9/11, they realized that all those banks, etc., were not equipped at all in terms of kind of like detecting that kind of behavior. So there's been kind of more and more regulation that says you need to go and implement those systems. You need to implement those different processes. You need to hire those teams to look out for that type of suspicious activity. So again, driven by regulation as well as ethics.
So it's more computer science in my head than it is like making money. It's more like safeguarding money.
It's all 100%. It's all about safeguarding. So like, if I give you some examples, right?
Okay.
So if you think of money laundering,
Yeah.
the classic would be let's take an
money.
example. Yeah, let's say
Yeah.
drug trafficking, right? So this is all around going to be you're going to have like the ringleader that has got all of the minions on the streets.
Yeah.
All of those minions on the streets are going to get the cash. Then that cash is then going to get kind of like maybe dropped on their own account. And then these individuals. So then the first element is like, this is the point of placement. So money laundering, to give you that context, is 3 steps. So it's placement. So where you go in and you put the money into the financial kind of like system. Layering is how do you do a bunch of different methods to kind of distance as much as possible the funds from the actual kind of like illegal source. And then integration is like, how do these criminals go and have funds and actually buy a bunch of luxury items with the proceeds of the crime?
Okay.
So if we think again back into the example for drug trafficking, this could be cash is being then put on the account. So that's like kind of like the placement. And then all of these individuals are going to have the money on the account. So what they might do after is just all send that to 2 or 3 accounts, which all belong to the ringleader, which might be under a fake business, for example. Then that business is going to then transfer all the money out to another account. Then they might start faking sales on this other kind of like business account to make it look like this is a proceed of sales.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, again, you start distancing more and more. And the further you get away from that illegitimate source, the more banks get comfortable that you can go and spend that money the way you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's like you know those candy shops in Oxford Circus. Everyone always says that they're a front because they don't make that many.
Yeah,
sales.
you're like
But
how
they're
many candies,
everywhere.
how many little
Yeah.
key rings,
Everywhere.
kind of.
And
Yeah.
it's all American sweets that are like double the price of what they would sell in America.
Yeah. But this is exactly it, right? And so when you think about the classic, when you go into when you look at TV series and stuff, you always say like a car wash.
Yeah.
Car wash is exactly what they do, right? It's you look at them, they're like, there's no cars, absolutely no cars coming through.
Yeah.
But then what happens is you might have criminals that go there. I'm not saying every car wash are bad.
Yeah.
obviously.
I'm
But
thinking
it's
about
kind
all
of
the
like-
car wash places.
Yeah, it just you've got that one that you can already think
Yeah.
about. But what they do is they take money from launderers, and then they create a bunch of different invoices, and then they go to the bank and say, yeah, this is all the proceeds of my my car wash. When in reality, this is kind of like this is the drug money.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden that goes onto the car wash bank account, and it looks like actual proceeds of sales.
Business,
as
yeah,
opposed to
legitimate,
proceeds.
yeah.
Exactly.
The money's
And then you
coming
kind of
straight.
distance it more and more and more
Yeah.
until they can just like spend it freely.
Wow.
So do you work with the police then?
Yeah,
If
that
it's
was my
that
next
kind of
question.
like, yeah.
So I don't work directly with the police,
Okay.
but so what happens is I implement all of those different components within it could be like a fintech, it could be a crypto company, and we could talk a little bit more about crypto later because that's a
Yeah.
really kind of topical element when it comes to money laundering or financial crime.
Really?
But so we kind of like implement all of those different systems, and then what those systems do is, and again, like it doesn't mean like you need computer science. That doesn't mean like I'm always the one that goes in and code all of this behind a laptop, like
Yeah.
all those little numbers kind of going down. But it's more going in and, facilitate the detection of such activity. And then if suspicious activity is detected, there are often alerts being generated by those systems.
Oh, okay.
So then what you need to, it basically means something is potentially unusual there. And then it's often kind of like the more manual work, which is then going to be, okay, let's go and see if this is actually suspicious. If this is then suspicious, there's a bunch of kind of like reviews happening internally, and then this is where it goes to the government. So where you submit what we call a suspicious activity report, and those suspicious activity report are then reviewed, and then further actions are taken place if needed. So whether further information needed, or they take it to the police and then start their investigations. But yeah, it's a mix of, like, I think this job is a mix of kind of, especially in my role, we work with a number of different organizations. So it's kind of like trying to understand how each of those organizations can actually be vulnerable for that type of activity. As we had all traditional banks, you understand the typical payments, you understand the credit cards, etc. But now, as we're getting a lot more, like, as I'd say, people are getting a lot more innovative in how we can facilitate payments. We're also becoming so crypto transactions. So all of this starts introducing new risks as well. So my role and my company's role is all around kind of like working those organizations, understanding how they are vulnerable to all of this, and then go and implement a program, systems, processes, governance that allows them to be conducting the activity without being at excessive risk of that type of behavior.
Okay. So you're stopping them from being.
So that's the aim, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the aim.
Okay.
And how many cases do you deal with, like, in a day?
So there's two components of it. There's kind of like the implementation of the program and running the program, making sure that on an ongoing basis things run well. Someone wants to go and create a new product, then you go and try and understand what that product looks like, and try and implement something around it. But then you've got all of the investigations aspect. And this is where investigations. I can't really give you a number of how many. It depends on the complexity. But sadly, those systems are not always the most efficient, and so there's a lot of work around bringing more efficiency in them. But there's still a lot of noise in them. So a lot of things that you review might not be suspicious. But there is kind of like teams that just like scan through all of them and make sure that there's nothing that goes through the net.
Wow, that is so interesting. Honestly, I did not. When I heard fintech and crypto, I instantly thought like you're doing like Bitcoin and like money and like, because I don't really understand it. Like I feel like they necessarily make it complicated when they speak about it to like not make you like. It feels like they use words to confuse you when they speak about things sometimes, or maybe I just don't get
maybe
it.
because you're not in that field, so you wouldn't like know the terminology and stuff like that.
And there's different angles to everything, right? So crypto, let's take an example. There is what I do, which is all around how can we prevent as much as possible that crypto can be leveraged for financial crime purposes. But then there's like all the crypto side, which is on the investment, piece, which is all around how can I go and make as much money based on market movement.
Stocks.
Exactly. And then there's other element, which is actually I don't like the financial system, so I just want to be going to make my payments using crypto. So it's just there's just so many angles to every single story, and to the angle like I have is very much on that financial crime piece.
Okay. Is it the same as Bitcoin?
So yeah, Bitcoin is one crypto.
Okay.
Crypto is just an encompassing word, if you like.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, neither.
We're all here to learn.
We're all here to learn.
Do you feel like a job like yours would need someone that's like interested in finance? Like, would you feel like you need a passion for this kind of like...
Or you could just do it.
I mean, I don't think anyone's got a passion for finance. Or otherwise you probably have like a little bit of a problem to start with.
Like, they could like maths, numbers.
So I think this is an area in particular which is quite exciting in general. Right? So you feel like you are contributing in one way or another. Sometimes, it doesn't feel like you're contributing as much. It feels like you are more kind of like ticking a regulatory box because someone says we need that system. But in many instances as well, you see the fruit of your labor. You're like, actually, there is some suspicious activity which is being stopped. So in my field in particular, you need to be very much interested in the topic. I mean, from a kid, right? Like, well, I'm not gonna say I wanted to be in financial crime since I was a kid.
Because I was even gonna ask, like, where did this come from? Like, what made you get into?
You know what? I think I genuinely think it's James Bond.
I've never watched it,
Neither her vibe.
Yeah.
Guys, come on.
But
come
I know it's
on.
like, is it spies?
Yeah,
stuff,
I was
or
always got so
undercover?
fascinated by that. And obviously, I'm just so far removed from that. But, you know,
Yeah.
I like the dream would have been to be in like MI6 or something like that.
Fighting a bad guy.
Exactly. And then I thought I'd be cool in a suit and everything. And now
Oh, the black and
sometimes
white.
I'm in a suit, but
Yeah.
otherwise just behind the laptop.
Yeah.
So no, so I think it kind of like, you know, ultimately that was an interesting moment. But then I just fell into it very randomly with, I was kind of like joining one of my first jobs, and Jazz, actually one of my co-founders, was like, yeah, you're gonna come and work with me on a financial crime project.
Oh.
And I was like, I absolutely no clue. So then like 2 weeks later, I'm shipped to Switzerland for 6 months to kind of like work over there on kind of like helping the compliance. And then I just never really looked back. Absolutely love the topic.
Wow.
It's a very evolving topic. So, you know, things change. Things just change constantly.
Yeah.
There's always new ways of doing things. So it's just been a job that's not been boring at all, and hence why I enjoy it. But I wouldn't say that you need to be an expert in finance. You need to be an expert in compliance. You need to be an expert in tech. Just come in and have a genuine interest in exploring a little bit more about it, and then things will just go naturally.
What skills do you think you need? What sets you apart for you to be able to be like a co-founder or director of
especially
an
like
entire
I mean, it's different, I guess, like from like the business aspects compared to this, but I think to go into that job, I think it's just the genuine interest in the topic in terms of like financial crime and wanting to be kind of like a part of you know, bringing it down. I mean, like I know I'm not gonna single-handedly, or like the world cannot really get that down, because you see like the numbers are just outrageous in terms of like how much is still going through the system. But it's just to be kind of like part of all of this. So genuine interest. What I would recommend to people is, I can't recommend enough, not just for this job, but just for life skill, is just to learn some very basic kind of like data analytics tool. There's so many resources online to do this for free, but do something like SQL, so like written SQL. This teaches you all around how do you go about understanding, you know, how do you take data and make sense out of it. Okay. So how do you go about like taking something which seems to be nothing,
like numbers? Yeah,
it could be numbers. It could be kind of like just data fields. It could be like addresses, or like it could be transactions, like transaction date. Where is the money going from to? What's the country? Okay. And then it's kind of like taking all of that data, which seems to be kind of like randomly dumped over there, and actually taking a format which you can start driving insight, start identifying potential suspicious behavior. Yeah. So I'm not saying like this may sound a little bit more complex than it is, but it's actually very simple to just get the basics of data management. Okay. So yeah, I would recommend anyone going.
Could do those online on Google, just anywhere.
Oh, for sure.
For free.
For free. Loads of stuff.
Wow.
Is this what you're supposed to do? Like click the link right here.
Guys, we're sponsored.
Exactly.
So is this similar to like cybersecurity and stuff like?
So cybersecurity is a little bit of a different kind of like school, if you like. Yeah. But yeah, it falls. They're just there to identify a different type of risk. Okay. They're there to identify potential kind of like system attacks. Hacking. Exactly.
So yeah, that's different.
Yeah, 100%. When you left uni, what did you think was going to happen? Like, what was the first job role that you got into? Yeah. Could you just walk us through the jobs you've had before you got this one? Yeah,
so after uni, I went to work on the floor at Massimo Dutti, just in kind of like...
Massimo Dutti?
It's kind of a closer.
Is it in France?
Yes, in France as well, but I was in Oxford Circus, so that was kind of like...
they have one here too?
Yeah, you've got loads here.
Okay, I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Click the link.
Guys, shop there.
In the description.
I was like, this is not an ad. So I did that for a few months. Yeah. And then I wanted to kind of try and find something that was in the field that I studied. So just applying. And the one biggest, I think, takeaway I've had, and even from today when kind of like people apply to roles, is your kind of like application, let's say on a LinkedIn or something like that, is just lost through so much noise. They're gonna have like hundreds of applications, and so I felt that was good. I think I had a lot to offer, But you get rejection after rejection after rejection, and this takes like a toll, because you're like, am I the problem?
Yeah, you start doubting yourself.
Wow.
Absolutely. And I had those moments at different like times of my career as well, where you start doubting yourself. You feel like you are killing it in the field, and then you don't get the time of day. But then realizing that, the people, first of all, that sometimes look at your CV are just not the people that would hire you.
Yeah.
So they don't always understand exactly what is needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is not a ding in kind of like the HR space or anything like that, but it's just more, there's just so many different domains. It's impossible for them to capture everything.
Yeah.
The second thing is they will spend half a minute kind of like looking for your profile.
Yeah.
And if one has got like a little bit more appealing, has got a little bit more buzzwords, etc., then they'll probably go through this. And then there's just kind of like, other referrals from people that already work in the in those organizations.
Nepotism a little bit.
It could be nepotism, but I think
Connections.
I do think that the connection thing is also fine, right? And you can create your own. And the one way for this is, what I love to see when people kind of like apply for the company now is, sometimes you swift through a bunch of applications, and you're like, okay, it's not really applicable, etc. But when you have someone contacting you directly and spending the time to clearly say that they understand the business, they don't really have the expertise, but they've got the kind of like the eagerness to learn.
Yeah.
I will absolutely give the time of day to those people to actually have a quick chat, rather than kind of like someone that just clicked a button, maybe in 15, 20 other button within the hour, that don't really want to.
They just applied for the sake of it.
They just applied, and there's nothing wrong with applying.
Yeah.
But if you want to start distancing yourself a little bit from the pack, this is where you want to start, taking your own step.
Yeah.
So taking your own step, go and contact those people. They might not answer,
Yeah.
but you've got a much higher chance of being seen than if you just go through normal routes.
I think that makes sense, because I'm more likely to remember your voice over the phone and a conversation I had than reading a piece of paper that you've sent over on the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And always stepping out of your comfort zone is another one. So I was talking at the cafe the other day, and someone kind of just asked, oh, by the way, what you do? And then another person overheard.
Yeah.
And then they were like, okay, I'm just going to go and have a conversation with that person to understand a little bit more what they do, and kind of like show I'm interested and stuff like that. So it's not an easy thing, right?
Yeah.
You go and talk to a stranger. It's not always
intimidating.
easy.
Yeah.
It can be
exactly.
intimidating, but people like, the assholes everywhere, but usually people are actually quite receptive to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we connected on LinkedIn, and then I said, if there's anything that you need to know or want to speak a little bit more about it, let's do it. But you can't just think that things are going to come to you, jobs are going to come to you, etc., by just applying or by waiting around. You really have to kind of like go.
Yeah, you really have to work
out.
for it. Yeah.
And it's just because otherwise you just get lost in the noise so much.
Yeah. So phone in, going into the office maybe.
Yeah, so
hello.
I'm not
Find out
saying.
where they get coffee.
I think she's taking this to the whole stalking vibe. Taking this to the whole. Okay, guys, don't be a stalker.
Yeah, don't be a stalker.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't be a stalker. Just kind of like make yourself known in those areas.
So how did you get the experience to get into what you were doing? Did you get into an internship or?
So I did a bunch of internship first of all to build my kind of CV a little bit. That was kind
finance as well.
The finance. So it was finance. Kind of like I would go. They organized like a bunch of meetups, for example.
Okay.
So I would go to meetups in my little suit and everything.
Oh, is that job markets or like actual meetups? Like
actual meetups. Kind of like they organize kind of like some. You could see like they've got like some meetup with I think it's like even on the meetup.com or whatever. But there's a bunch of like free events that you could go to.
Oh, like networking events.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
There's conferences that are free.
Yeah.
You go, but again, so I used to like I arrived in London. I was like, okay, I want to kind of like find. So you have to go and experience those things. You have to go to those. You have to speak to people. You have to kind of like act very professional as well in a way where, when you're like younger in your career, when you get started, you're in that little mix between uni life and work life.
Yeah.
So what I try to do is like I still have my great young 20s having a lot of fun, but then I was trying to very much switch this to be very professional because people really appreciate from the early stage if you take those professional kind of like steps. So have a CV that doesn't have a single typo. Have a CV that has been kind of like proofread by a couple of people.
Okay.
Whenever you message the people, make sure that there's not a single typo on your email. Make sure that everything is structured in a way that is going to look very professional.
Yeah.
And it sounds easier said than done,
Mm.
but I see it all the time. Like when some people kind of reach out, and I see that they've not really made an effort on kind of like the email or something like that. I just find like that's a bit disappointed, because you've made the right effort in terms of like contacting, but you didn't really follow up with that effort. And there's so many kind of like ways to kind of like help you with this, right? ChatGPT is one of them.
Exactly.
ChatGPT kind of.
That is my best.
The world is evolving.
Yeah. I'm with you. It's a game changer, but and people need to learn how to use it. It's free, and it's just kind of like that alone can help you take your professionalism at this kind of like early stage of your career from here to kind of like another level.
That's so true.
And I feel like once you keep reading the ChatGPT, copying and paste, you kind of like
learn
know what
how
you're
to
supposed
write.
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
format.
Exactly. That's the danger though, because you could very much recognize when something's coming from ChatGPT as well.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So
Do you know what it is? Sometimes you can even forget to get rid of like from ChatGPT
Oh,
or the reciprocate's name.
No, you have to read through it to make sure that doesn't
like
happen.
It could be a rookie mistake, and then you just look even worse because you didn't even put the effort to write it yourself.
Be careful out there, guys. There's so we do case studies for some of our roles to make sure that they are suited for the role.
Yeah.
And we just kind of like give this case study to someone, and then just kind of like walk it over there. They came back to us very rapidly. We're like, okay, that looks great. It was like a little bit suspicious. We whacked it. There's another system which is kind of like all around detecting what's kind of like machine learning or artificial intelligence kind of like written.
Yeah.
Like, even if you use Quillbot, because Quillbot's supposed to get rid of plagiarism.
It's not even plagiarism. It's kind of like just like this language is just too ChatGPT-ish. And so this is 98% chance that this was written by a ChatGPT by AI.
Wow.
So, but no, it's just to say like leverage it, but always make it your own as well.
Yeah.
Wow. So I know you said that you don't have to go to uni to like be in the role that you're in now. So what steps would you advise someone that's watching like to take to get into the financial crime scene and like fintech?
So good question. So I think the uni bit gives you already an understanding of the work ethic.
Yeah.
So if you don't go to uni, you are gonna have to like separate yourself from the pack even more.
Okay.
Some interesting ways in my field specifically to get into is probably on the investigation side. So what you would do is, like I told you, like there are alerts being generated from all of those different systems, right?
Yeah.
But these people then need to go for each of those alerts, understand, what is the risk at hand? Is it suspicious or not? This can be a little bit repetitive at time because you follow a procedure, but it makes you step into the world of financial crime without really needing an excessive amount of kind of not education is not the right word, but without having to go to uni, learning all about math, all about this. This kind of like gets you into it. And then the people that still do investigations today just becomes a more and more complex case, becomes a lot more efficient. They start understanding how things can be done better. But when you step into it at the beginning, this is all around following the list and understanding what is suspicious or not. And I think that is probably a good way for someone to get into from an early stage.
Investigations, is that like a job role?
Yeah. So like if people type KYC analyst or investigator, AML analyst, sanctions analyst, these are typically things where it's reviewing through those alerts.
Do you need a lot of experience for that, or is it just like a?
So to be a good one, absolutely.
Yeah.
To be a good investigator, there's going to be a lot of different types of complexities. So this is where like people have been investigating for 10 years, 15 years. Wow. These people are absolutely a beast, and they can tell you within a split second, like, that's fine because of X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Or they can start identifying the hidden risk and be like, we need to go and look more over there.
Yeah.
To understand whether there's a real risk.
Yeah.
So like for me, investigation remains still an art, but at the beginning of the career, it's more following steps.
Okay.
And as you follow those steps, you then become more comfortable. You then understand what risk is and all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
It's building your information knowledge.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, gather data points for yourself.
Yeah, but I guess that's like with any job role. Like the longer you're in it, the more you would know.
Absolutely. Yeah. So. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think the lowest point of your career was?
You know what I think is just kind of like moving between jobs. So I started the business with two others. about 2.5 years ago. Prior to that, I had a couple other jobs, but the whole period around between job, like looking for a new job, and having that moment where you think you're the shit kind of thing, and you feel like surely I'm gonna get a job like this,
and then you don't,
and you apply, you get rejected, you apply, you get rejected.
It's a bit like the post-graduation depression, but it's like
Oh,
you've already got
you will get it like throughout your career for sure.
Yeah. Also, it's just continuous. That feeling never ends.
And I've got friends that just constantly go through this as well, right?
Yeah.
You know, they're brilliant at their job, but by just applying on LinkedIn, you just get lost in the mass, and nothing. You never just get the opportunity to kind of like really display how good you can be at something.
Yeah.
So this is where I really think that just moving jobs this is where the kind of like the lowest points of my careers have been. Highest point was probably leave my last job to kind of like start the business, but lowest has been previously to kind of like keep getting going and actually tell yourself that it's not all you. It's actually kind of like an issue of not really being seen by the right people. So yeah, it happens throughout careers, guys. For sure.
So would you say the skill to keep going through that type of like self-doubt would
keep going and just be a little bit more aggressive, not stalking aggressive.
Don't stalk anyone, guys.
I won't stalk anyone.
She was like, I'm gonna knock at their door. I'm gonna go to their kids' school.
You're like, get your parent to hire me.
Yeah, exactly. So no threats. No, but just again, like, don't be worried to kind of like reach out to people directly, and don't think like, oh, I've not heard from them. Like, this is it. Just kind of reach out to other people in the industry, different companies. Like, and for example, my industry is an industry that just talks a lot, right? So it remains a small, fairly niche.
Yeah.
It's still big, but it remains a niche in the grand scheme of things, which means that a lot of people know each other, and they know if there's a job opening somewhere else. So we're like, I'm not hiring, but this person is. So you'll have much more of a chance.
The connections, the networking. And I think that's the biggest thing that we don't get taught in school. How important networking is.
It's so
Massively.
true. Yeah.
Massive.
I just don't feel like we get told about. All we get told is go on Indeed, go on LinkedIn. Like,
Literally, and just apply.
But who talks about networking? Have you ever heard any of your friends tell you they're going to a networking event?
Nah. Well, I think now we've known to do that, but like when we were first like looking for jobs, like in A levels, no one knew about networking events. I think we were even more like scared, like networking event. Why would I need to go to that? Thing. I
do think one thing I'd say though is those platforms are good to understanding what type of jobs are out there.
Yeah.
I had no idea financial crime was a job.
Neither. Literally.
Right, financial crime compliance was a job, right? So, but by just scanning a little bit on there, you just read for the job description. I was like, okay, that's something.
Yeah.
And talk to people, talk to kind of family, talk to family friends, try and understand what they do.
Yeah.
And this is how you kind of like start to get a little bit more knowledge on what different careers are out there.
Yeah.
Read somewhere on your website that you did career consultancy.
I was literally about to say that.
Career consultancy.
It was something to do with
I didn't know that. Is this a new product that we
I don't know.
You said you was a career consultant.
Wait.
Okay.
I think what you may have seen is the career page on there. So where we kind of like talk about who we are, what type of jobs descriptions are out there and things.
So you've always done finance?
Always done financial crime.
Okay. Financial crime.
Exactly.
Big difference.
Big difference.
We've explained it today, guys. I just got my words in the room. Sorry, guys. Would you say there's a lot of job satisfaction in a role like this?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, sometimes you feel like I was mentioning earlier, it's a tick in the box to kind of like make people happy, etc. But sometimes a lot of organizations more and more have got that ethical need and want to actually go through all of this. And it's kind of just basically wanting to do the right thing. So they don't just do what is required by the law.
Okay.
They go forward because they really want to start making sure that their platform can be used for child trafficking, for human trafficking, for weapons, drugs, anything like that. So this is kind of like get the most gratification when I work with those kind of companies, because they are really trying to make a difference. Yeah. And then financial crime can start exciting. You'd be like, you're on cases every day. You're going to be kind of like finding all of those criminals. But that's like a small percentage of the role, right? A large percentage is all around kind of like going in and implementing all of those systems, processes, and and teams where needed. That allows to kind of like make sure that down the line we detect all of this.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is where we started the business, I guess, to kind of like go and do this on our own devices.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, but starting a business does require a lot of sacrifice, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, dating life has taken a
everything, like, you can't have all at once.
No,
you know
yeah,
what I
you
mean?
can't.
I feel like something is always one more up. Like, your social life is up. Usually your work life is a bit, you know what I mean?
I mean, there's probably gonna be like, there's gonna be roller coasters.
Yeah.
There's like amazing highs and lows. You know, when you get started, it's all a little bit daunting. All right. So, you know, how do you find your first clients? How do you start justifying yourself that you are worthy of working with these people when you've been in kind of like
you have to constantly like sell yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it requires a lot of work, right? It's like if it's easy, everyone's going to do it. So
exactly.
it does take some sacrifice, and you know, I'm single. I don't have a family. I don't have a family yet. It's kind of like there is going to be moments where some sacrifice are not kind of like always worth doing. But now at this point in my life where I can take that sacrifice on a short term, maybe like longer term kind of gain. So I'm doing that push now, so that I don't really have to do that as much further down. But even if it's further down, you know, it's sacrifice to take as long as you can make the balance between that personal and the work. Not always easy, but yeah, worth the highs in my opinion.
So you do need social skills for a role like this.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were talking about it earlier. We were like, she was like, I don't think you need that much social
because I
skills.
thought you was just sitting behind a computer. I didn't know.
Just
not
just
talking
hiding.
to anyone.
like the Big Bang Theory, you know, and the ICT, and they're just like, computers, guys.
No. So you gotta be charming, you know.
Yeah.
No, so
with the clients and that.
Yeah.
So I work. So within the space, I work in consulting.
Okay.
Which means that I work with many different clients.
Okay.
So I go to clients. To client one, it's all around understanding what their problems are, and then helping them through fixing those problems.
Okay.
You then go to client two, which got a complete different set of problems, a complete different set of people that you need to kind of like understand how to work with. You go and fix this, then you move on. So you do have to have a ton of interaction with all these people, and you need to convince them. You know, you need to convince them that what you are suggesting is the right thing also. But also not be too cocky about it and be like very much listening and understand. You know, these people have been in the business for longer than you have as well. So it's also how do you get all of their inputs and then how you work together towards the end goal. But it is having to work with a lot of different clients.
Okay. Wow. It's interesting.
Have you ever worked on a case that had like a strain on your mental health? Like it was just like a
a lot
case.
Yeah.
Like, because you know you hear things about people that are in the FBI or the CIA
where
they go through like crimes and they're like deeply affected because it's hard to imagine that a financial crime would have as much impact as like a murder or like it probably doesn't, but it does at the same time because it snowballs. You know, money is a very key aspect of everyone's life, really.
Yeah. So thankfully, from that perspective, in my profession, we're very shielded.
Okay.
So very shielded because we don't really see what's happening in the background, right? So if you think of one of the worst cases is around, you know, child trafficking.
Yeah.
Child safety.
Yeah.
We don't see any of the graphics, which is something that could probably, you know, stay with you for years, forever, right?
Gosh.
Act of kind of like terrorism. It could be like criminal, like murders. This is a kind of like if seen, can stay with you for a very long time. And this is why in my profession, we're lucky to be shielded because we see the kind of like, we see the front end of this. We see all what or said whatever that is, but we see the transactions.
Okay.
We don't see the content.
So
we see the transactions. We see information related to either victims or relating to criminals. But we don't go down that route of having to be exposed to this. You know, when I was talking about suspicious activity reports earlier, all of this gets to the government, and then the government can start kind of like going with content that they've identified from a different source. You know, maybe social media says like we've identified some very disturbing content that was being sent.
Yeah.
So it's going to go to the government, and then we are going to be kind of like providing suspicious activity reports, and then basically the government just takes all of those different sources and allows to get kind of like a holistic view of what is taking place.
Do you get paid from the government for doing this, or is it?
No. That would be very non-ethical. So no, it's actually a regulatory requirement. It needs to happen. If it is that you don't have a proper process in place, which is kind of like what I contribute to implementing,
Yeah.
and you don't submit those, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. You are going to be kind of like, you're going to have fines. You are going to have potentially losing the ability to operate, especially if it's kind of like, those organizations willingly not really doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, wow. I didn't know the government's watching like that.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, no, they watch
be.
everything.
It's like Big Ben or something.
Yeah, exactly. Big Ben or Big Brother?
Big Brother. Oh my God, my brain today.
Oh yeah, Big Brother.
This
yeah,
is
the
morning
big eye.
brain.
Yeah.
Big Ben's, I'm sure, is watching one way or another.
It's just a clock.
No.
So I guess it doesn't have that much mental strain, this kind of job, right? Or would you say it's in another aspect? Maybe not the trauma.
No trauma, but it takes a lot to kind of like learn about all of this. It takes a lot to kind of like understanding what are the different problems. I was saying earlier, how do you go understand exactly how this organization can be used for financial crime purposes? So you need to kind of like understand every aspect of their products, their services. You then need to go and implement things for them.
Yeah.
You then need to calibrate those. You need to, calibrate, validate, test. All of this takes a lot of strain from, it still requires a lot of kind of like, let's say, brain stamina to kind of like go through all of this.
Strenuous.
It's very strenuous on the brain, and there's a lot of context switching, for example, because you work on different matters at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're happy to kind of like switch off at the end of the day.
Is it easy to climb the financial crime ladder, would you say?
I feel like this is more like the criminal question. So how can you get to the top of financial crime?
No, it's just because I hear it, but like I feel like someone would hear this and not be able to like, because when you think finance, you think profits, right?
Yep.
How do you make a profit from analyzing financial crime? You don't. It's for the betterment of society.
Yeah, I mean, like,
right?
obviously, we obviously get revenue from supporting them, but they need to implement this not to make money, but because they have to.
Okay.
Right.
If like a lot of those organizations, like I said, ethical versus regulatory requirement. If there was no regulatory requirements, a lot of those organizations might not have as much ethics, and they were like, okay, I don't want to go and spend millions on having compliance that can detect all of this. Do your thing, and then. Yeah, so doing compliance is actually making them their revenues are smaller because they have to go and invest a lot of money in those processes and technologies to make sure that they're compliant.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, so we've learnt a bit about cryptocurrency. So could you talk about fintech?
Yeah,
what that is.
So, I feel like we've not talking much about crypto.
Oh, you think?
I don't think we have either.
I think it's like we've talking more fintech, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could talk a little bit about both,
yeah,
right? So, like the banks have been dictating how money movement happens for many years. Fintech now is moving a little bit more, money movement, insurance, etc. Fintech is now not a little bit more like moving from traditional finance to a little bit more around innovative way of doing business.
Okay.
So this is where we move from having to go into your bank for depositing checks or making payments, etc., to actually or onboard and provide kind of like your utility bill, your passport. Fintech is moving, or digital banking is moving around. Yeah, you can do this from your phone. Like you open an account with Monzo, Revolut within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
This is kind of like moving a little bit more about some of those fintechs. Like they've got an app. This is kind of like giving access to kind of like financial services to large, to maybe like some areas which are not as populated or as not developed from a financial services kind of infrastructure perspective. So it's kind of bringing finance to the mass as well.
Would you say Monzo and Revolut are safe?
Yeah, I mean, like they're some of the top banks, top digital banks are here, right?
Yeah.
I don't trust Metro though.
You don't trust Metro?
They just stole £70 from me at the ATM. I'm very upset about that still.
Yeah, that could be scammers. That could be criminals.
I don't know, but I hope I get my money back in 12 business days.
Yeah, good. No, but they all have, every single bank will have their point of failure because you can't catch everything.
Yeah.
You can't catch everything. It could take like £500 to £500 to kind of like commit a terrorist attack, right? But you're not going to be able to look at every single £500 transactions that are out there. There needs to be a bit of risk approach and understanding where to look at. So all of those kind of banks have comprehensive compliance program in place, but no one is safe from something happening.
Okay.
Do you get clients that work in banks then?
Sorry?
your clients, are they like?
So clients
Usually
are
banks.
crypto companies,
Yeah.
fintechs, digital banks. We used to work a lot more in the bank sector, but when we started the business, we started stepping a little bit away from those traditional banks.
Okay.
So this has been very much a niche at Strategy Bricks.
When you say crypto companies, in my head, what do you imagine, Precious?
Crypto company.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like what do you think of when you hear crypto company?
I don't know.
Because my mind goes absolutely
So
blank.
have you guys have heard of buying Bitcoin, buying people making money out of this?
But I don't
Right.
understand it.
So
It's money online.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example of a crypto company.
Okay.
So you talk about buying stocks and shares earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you buy it, and then it goes up,
Yeah.
and then you sell it, you make money. So kind of like a trading company.
Yeah.
You've got crypto exchanges, which is exactly the same thing. The value of those cryptos just go up and down like crazy.
Okay.
So
So the money goes up.
the value of a crypto. So similar to the dollar.
So I can have £2 and tomorrow is worthy of like $1. The next day is 3.
Yeah, listen, crypto, like Bitcoin itself was worth less than a dollar 10 years ago. But that was brand new. People didn't know what it is. Kind of like still today, like a lot of people don't really understand it. But that was less than $1
Yeah.
for one coin, right?
Yeah.
Come, I think like 10, 12 years or whatever that number of years is, Bitcoin went up to 60,000 for one coin, right? So people that had
Wow.
Stocks
That's a
in Bitcoin
lot.
were like millionaires.
Yeah.
so it has made a ton of millionaires. But one of the crypto companies I was mentioning is, that because of that value, you can make money out of it. I buy Bitcoin at this value. In 1 week, it goes up here.
Yeah.
I've got a profit. So crypto exchanges work exactly the same way as a trading firm. They would basically be say you can buy crypto or you could buy Bitcoin at this and sell it at this value.
Okay.
And then that means kind of like you start exchange. Or some of them allow you to make payments. So kind of crypto can be used as a transfer of money.
Yeah,
the same way
my
you
friend
use
was
cash,
telling me that.
the same
yeah.
way
Like
you
Cash App.
Cash App. No, so I think Cash App is more kind of like still around payment.
Yeah,
in
that's
terms
still
of
money.
I
in your
don't
bank
trust
account.
that app at all. It looks weird and dodgy to me.
This was before your time because she is quite young. But they have this thing.
Oh, she's probably like a year older. She's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was before your time. Yeah.
5. But cool. They have
5.
I am 5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
But they have this thing where you can like it was Cash App. They had this thing. I don't know if it was a scam or not, but if you send someone a link through the Cash App, you get £20 for free.
Yeah.
And everyone was going around sending the app, so then you can get more than £20.
Yeah.
I think my friend made like £100 just sending the link to loads of different people.
Yeah.
And like
So this is a referral, right?
yeah,
This is how they get their
the
more clients.
referral.
Yeah.
If someone
Because
comes
Shein
in,
does
and
that as well.
Do
They have the referral thing, yeah. But it never works for me because I'll send it to people and then it's like, oh, send it to one more person and then you've just made it and then the timer expires and then I end up not getting the money. So it's like a game, but yeah.
That's just kind of how I see like money, like in general. Like it just doesn't feel real to me.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, this is why we spend like so much money like at the bar or something. Oh no, it's fine. It's on a card.
Yeah.
It's not real money.
Yeah, no, like it is, but it isn't because the whole Bitcoin investment,
It's very-
going in, going out,
It's very, very odd concept. I'll give
a
you that.
whole
Yeah.
company being started off online money is bizarre.
Yeah, but we can say the same about cash, right? Who said that this piece of paper that is worth really nothing
Yeah.
in terms of its material is actually
Yeah.
worth $100 or
It's worth more than most people's
£10?
lives.
Yeah.
Really.
It's kind of like, it happened the same way. Like back in the age, how did you say that in order to get, let's say, 10 apples, I'm just going to have to give you 3 kilos of rice? You start kind of like providing value to any kind of like day items.
Yeah.
Do you think you could take over cash?
Yeah, cash will be gone
Yeah,
You think?
soon.
Cash will be gone.
100%.
for sure. You see more and more organized or companies like small business not taking cash anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that a positive or a negative thing, you think? Because
I
the
mean, it's-
risks increase.
Well,
So it would be more need for companies like yours, right?
yeah, there starts to be like a little bit more need for controls around those things.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, it's kind of like cash is a lot harder to track,
Yeah.
right? If I give you money now
Yeah.
in cash, no one can put like a control in place. No one can do
Yeah.
anything about it.
And you can fake cash.
Yeah, I can give
Yeah.
you fake cash, but if I
Counts-
give you real
Yeah.
cash,
Yeah.
like who's going to look at this?
Yeah.
If I send you cash online on a bank from my account to your account, there's a record of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you take it like this is going to get like a lot more in the complicated side, I guess, but it's on the crypto side, same thing. If I send you money, then you like people will be able to see like I've sent you money, but it will be able to see like where you've sent your money, where they send the money. So like actually, let me rephrase that. So at the moment, if I'm back at Barclays, you're HSBC, I'm gonna send you £100.
Thank you.
Anytime. We'll talk after. I'll send you £100. There is going to be that ledger of me to you.
Yeah.
But there will be no understanding of what was happening prior to that.
Yeah.
Why did you send the money?
Well,
the
it's not even a reason. It will just be like, well, did I receive £100 from someone else? Where was that money coming from before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Whereas crypto has got kind of like this network or blockchain, which is the underlying technology for crypto, allows you to basically trace every single transactions out there. At the moment, like if we talk about the example of the bank, they will see like, Jim sent money to Zaina.
Okay.
What happened on the crypto world is like this wallet address without the name has sent money to this wallet address. So there's not kind of like the name, but you will see there's a payment. So this is why like very interesting stuff around terrorist financing. Everyone's like terrorism, terrorist financing, crypto transaction blockchain is all anonymous. You can't say like this is always the myth. It's anonymous. The reality is you can trace every single transactions to and have visibility of it. So what those kind of like let's say extremist group would say, go and donate to this wallet, and then they would kind of make a bunch of transactions from this wallet to this wallet, etc. But then you could always trace it back to the source. Hence why you can kind of like find people trying to finance terrorism.
Wow.
Crazy. I feel like I've learned so much today.
Yeah,
honestly,
Good.
you have taught me so much.
I'm definitely
Good.
going to look
No,
into
I
this.
came
Thanks
in
for having
knowing
me as well.
nothing, and I'm leaving knowing so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jim. I feel like we're gonna have to bring you back.
Yeah,
We'll be back.
Part
This,
two.
Number
this is
two.
defo has to be continued.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna wear this jumper. It felt like a good idea at the beginning to show the brand, but now it's so hot.
Yeah,
Starting to
yeah
sweat.
it is hot
Oh
in
no,
here.
we should have opened the fan, but the
No,
noise.
you're
Yeah. But thank you for coming over.
thank you for
and
joining
teaching
us.
Yeah.
No, likewise.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, this
Thank
was great.
you.
All right, bye
I
guys.
hope you
See
add
you
all of the
guys
links.
later.
Just
Yeah. Brands, shout
Bye.
us. Bye.